Okay, well, thanks for joining us. This is our kickoff digital solutions track session. I think most of you were with us for Executive Forum. For those of you who weren't, I'm going to spare you the big kickoff presentation on our key concepts. However, digital solutions are a huge part of this event. They're at the heart of this event, really. And it's what we wanted to put front and center in launching Housing Transformation Summit, because it had been a bit of a sideshow at our Tech Home Builder Summit. This is the truth.
Digital can be a sideshow.
Well,
yes.
But it shouldn't. It's really central.
Yeah.
And in so many ways, we've had so much acceleration in the usage of digital, especially in the sales and marketing realm, in the wake of in the midst of the COVID pandemic. And now's really the time for us to consolidate the gains that we've realized and even take it to the next level. And hopefully we'll provide you all with some good concepts for doing so. So our session title is Using Tech to Manage Client Experience and Drive Social Proof. I did not complete this slide, but I'll tell you what the purpose is. It's to tour some best practices from these folks on the panel. So joining us today, Chris Hartley, who's VP of Sales. You're VP of Sales for the Dallas division of Kay Hovnanian. He's also just completed an Ironman last week.
Wow.
Whoa.
I didn't die, which was a huge accomplishment.
I was going to try to get Ironman. I can't remember whether it was it was Black Sabbath or AC/DC Ironman.
Yes.
But I didn't get it to the AV
okay.
desk, so I'm sorry.
Oh, shoot.
Melissa Moorman is Chief Experience Officer of BDX, frequent contributor to our conference sessions and a wealth of knowledge, insight, and ideas in this realm. And then Christy Allen is with Wood Castle Homes in Utah, if I'm not mistaken. And she's doing some really innovative things that kind of toggle the customer care and social media marketing space that we're going to hear more about. But let's start with Chris. And I've got the right slides up for you. I'm going to turn this over to you. And so when Chris and I talked a couple of weeks ago, before we talked about tech and customer care, you talked about the most important customer care, which is really delivering. And that's got to be the foundation, is the reality of the delivery and the reality of the customer experience for anything you do from a digital perspective to make sense. So, let's start with covering that, and then if you can walk us through some of these innovative, and some of them are just blocking and tackling sort of things that involve technology. Sure. Let's take folks through a tour, if you would.
So I'm excited to be in front of people. Again, this is probably the third or fourth event that I've been able to speak in front of an audience, which we all miss so much. And there's so many people in this room that I admire and look up to, and I've borrowed ideas from and made them my own over the time. Ken, for one, from Shay. You can always get great ideas from Ken. But this platform here really wouldn't be available to us if we didn't first think of the fact that we are in this for our consumers. And far too often, we forget that we're not building widgets. Especially the higher up you get, it almost is like the more disconnected you get from the average consumer that's buying your home. And I had a really amazing experience early in the year. And our fiscal year at Kay Hovnanian ends in October. So fortunately for me, I'm not going through the fire drill that a lot of you guys are going through in November and December, which I feel for you very much. But early in February, I'm in a split household myself. I have my girls every other weekend, and I had my girls on a weekend, and a consumer had reached out to me for a sales consultant that we let go of and said, hey, I'm really concerned with my house. I need you to meet me out here ASAP. And I was like, oh, this is horrible. Like, I only get my girls every other weekend. This is kind of annoying to me. And I fell victim to that person that had gotten high enough up. You know, we do 800 homes a year, that I wasn't in constant communication with the consumers that bought our houses. Well, I made arrangements to have it happen. I drove about an hour to go see them. And it was the best thing that happened to me to reignite my love for what we do. And it's the fact that we get to put people in homes. Now, the story behind this young couple that was there was that this was the first time, and she was 35 years of age, she had ever lived in a house. Ever lived in a house. And she was so proud of the fact that she was going to close on this home for what all of us would consider a first-time home. And she answered the door and she said, "Welcome to my new house." And from that moment, I kind of got the arrogance and the air of being frustrated with being there. It just wiped out. And she goes, "I would love to take you through. Are you okay if I take you through my new house?" And I was like, "Absolutely." And then I got excited for her, and she's like, "Hey, just a little heads up, I bought my husband a grill." And then she showed me the picture of the grill, and then we're going to do it here, and we're having a housewarming party, and so on and so forth. My point in telling you that story is that far too often we forget why we do what we do. And we need to remember that we have an amazing responsibility. Larry Webb was one of my favorite people of all time, and then he was speaking this last time. Like, we are building dreams and houses for people. This isn't a widget. This isn't a car. This is what I call a dream box. This is where your kids take their first steps. They go to kindergarten, they go to prom, and it's such an awesome experience for us. Which then leads to this conversation, which is the fact that when we survey our homeowners, and my friend Lindsay is in here, and we were talking about this earlier, and her company does this, which I love, a different platform, I believe. But when we survey a customer and we get a really awful survey back, what happens from the top? They immediately fire back and they say, "What the hell happened here? How do we not know about this?" Right? We'll get a 1 on a survey. Well, the interesting thing is there should never be a moment of surprise where we get hit with a survey that's a 1. We should have seen this thing coming a long time ago, right? And so one of the tools that's in place, and the company happens to be Atlas RTX, and there are other companies that do this, but one of the platforms that's in place is an SMS text message-based platform. Now, I have been utilizing Atlas RTX now since 2017 at a former company. And with this platform, what it focuses on is it focuses on immediate responses from consumers to a chatbot. Now, their whole mindset is humans plus chatbots equals a positive experience, right? This isn't just technology. This is humans behind technology. And where I'm going to focus on this talk here and what John and I spoke about was not the precursor of the sale, which was how I originally started with Atlas RTX, which was a follow-up system, because let's be real, you may think your sales team is following up, but they're not. I promise you they're not. This system allows for that. But this is taking the text message platform and taking it beyond contract, which is what I want to talk about now, which I love that when I was talking to my friend Lindsay from Homes by Tabor, she's doing as well. And so a text messaging platform that can take you from contract all the way to close. So if you are that organization or that company that is shocked because you got a 1, well, truthfully, shame on you, because you should never be shocked when your consumers have a poor experience. Now, one of the things that we talk about with this is you can set up this system anytime throughout the process. So for instance, a contract is signed. Let's send them a text message that congratulates them on the purchase. Now, you may think, well, that's kind of cold. Why aren't we just congratulating them ourselves? Well, your salesperson is already doing that, right? And some of you, and I know when I worked for a smaller company before we sold back in 2018, I would hand sign letters congratulating people for buying their houses. I do 800 homes a year. I'm not hand signing anything right now. Okay? So this is a system that's going to send out a text that's going to congratulate them and also let them know that they're going to start receiving surveys from us to make us better, to make their experience better. You can craft this message however you want, and then they can save the number. They can also send questions back to the system. So let's, for instance, talk about this one. This is a contract is signed. A text message goes out. Congratulations on the purchase of your home. Just to let you know, we're going to be reaching out to you throughout the process of this and asking you questions on your experience. Easy enough, right? They're getting used to this. Now, the key component of this is that 98.2% of us check a text message within 2 minutes of receiving it. How crazy is that? 2 minutes. Most of us are within 2 feet of our cell phone over 80% of the time. The only time it's not within 2 feet of us is in the shower, oftentimes, when we're sleeping. The other one here is if you have a consumer going to the design center, fired off at the design center. How was the experience? How was the process? Oh, by the way, here's directions on how to get to the design center. Here's some things you may want to look at. You can craft this system to be however you want it to be. Again, it's more touches and feels to the buyer to get them understanding that you truly care about what you're doing. The next we're going to talk about is satisfaction and feedback. How did we do? So for instance, you can set this up, and this is where it's a huge component for us. Set this up after your first meeting with your construction manager, right? This is your pre-construction orientation. Fire off a text message and say, hey, we're really glad you met John with the construction team. We hope John lived up to all of your standards. If you wouldn't mind, can you tell us on a scale of 1 to 10 how John did? Now, the text message or the chatbot is smart enough to recognize the response, right? So if they respond to 1, it's not going to say, great, we're glad you really enjoyed him, right? It's going to know what the response is on that. Now, here's the best part about this, is that it filters into your back office. So when you're getting a negative response, you can immediately fight that off, right? I wish we did this yesterday because I got hit with a ton of surveys today that some of them weren't so great. And you go back and you look and you say, well, how did this fall apart? Well, you look where it fell apart and you know where it did. Well, if we had the ability to go back with this particular consumer and say, hey, the interaction between construction and the buyer was dead from arrival, right? So maybe we can pivot that. Maybe we can look at a different avenue or maybe a different construction manager if there's multiple in the community to actually handle that situation. So it's constant feedback throughout the process. You can do it at your pre-construction, your pre-drywall, you can do it at your design center. You can set up as many of these as you want. And then again, when they close on the home. Now you think, well, that's again, a very non-personal touch, but you've already done all the personal touches because your sales and your construction team is there from the start. They're already doing what they're supposed to be doing. But if you want to send a digital gift card, you can send a digital gift card. Of course, that depends on where your state is and if it's legal or not. But you can ask all of these things. It's a really phenomenal platform to not be surprised by anything that's happening. Now, this does not replace, and it could replace your survey company. I'm not trying to replace anybody, but this is just a platform that adds to your company so you can get a better understanding of where those surveys are going to come in. Out of 700 closings last year, we received 14 ones out of 10. So that's 2% of our buyers were livid with us, which I don't think is a lot, but I looked back on those 14 and I know exactly where that situation went bad because I had to call the consumer myself. But if I saw that the situation was going bad way before that survey hit, that survey could have not been a 1. It could have been, even if it was a 4 or a 5, it would have helped my overall score. And ultimately, my bonus, which is, let's be real, that's really important to me. That's really important to me.
How long have you had the system in place?
So Atlas itself has been in place since 2017. This is a work in progress for us, so it's something that's constantly evolving. If you wanted to try it yourself, this is actually a phone number that you can text, and they will give you a demo, so to speak, on some ideas that you could do. This is something that's relatively new throughout the country. Atlas was not originally designed to be a survey company. I'm not saying that it is today. It's just designed to give you all the feedback and information you want. So what's great about that is that it's going to provide positive interactions. It is going to give you higher conversions because it does track consumers coming through the door. And it's going to build a really great brand loyalty to you. So all around, a great platform. I think that is the last slide. That's the last slide on that one.
Okay.
You want me to keep rolling?
I thought you had some, keep rolling. Keep going.
So this is one here that I had in place with my former company. I'm one of those weird people that has a calendar countdown for everything I do, so I knew exactly when the Ironman was going to happen because I was afraid I was going to die. But I know exactly how long I've been with KHOV. It's 568 days. Now, my past place, I had this company in place called 149 Photo. Now, 149 Photo, what's unique about this is that I had bought a second home back in December, closed on a second home back in December of last year. Now, the company was MI Homes. I'm a huge fan of MI Homes, huge fan of Will Duderstadt with MI Homes and a lot of people that work there. But they utilize 149 Photo. So before I was not a customer, but I actually hired them to do work for us. Then I got to be a customer and actually see it. So let me explain to you what this is. So 149 Photo is a platform that will take live photos basically from foundation to finish. Now, again, how I told you guys all before that we hope that your sales team is following up, but they're not. I promise you they're not. Now, I will tell you, when I sold homes, and it's been a long time, I would go out with a digital camera. That tells you how long it's been since I've sold homes. A digital camera, and I would go snap photos, and I would go and I'd put them in the little scan disc in, and I would email them out to all my consumers. I'm just going to put this down. I think it doesn't like me.
Step away
Yeah,
from
step
the
away
clicker.
from that. So what this will do, this company here will go out and actually do this for you. Now, what I love is that they have a slogan, no beer can and butt crack guarantee. So you're not going to get a whole bunch of photos of dirty construction trash or things that you don't want to see. Now, what we want out of them is we want them to be raving fans for us. Well, how do you do that? You keep them constantly in the loop. But what our salespeople do not have the time for today, because some of them have backlogs that are just absolutely ridiculous, is they don't have the time to track and keep all the realtors up to date. They barely have time to keep the consumers up to date, right? There's some of them that have 40, 50, 60 homes in backlog. Asking them to do that's going to take 2 to 3 days in itself. This company will take a professional photographer and they will go out and they'll take the photos for you. So when you sell a home, I would say, John, we employ a company called 149 Photos. Would you like to have weekly photo updates of your home once it starts construction?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. As a realtor, would you like this? And every realtor in the world is like, yes, I can be even more lazy and not drive out to these homes and look at them. I can just rely on you to send me the photos and I can act like I know what's going on. Don't know what
Chris,
it
you
means.
sound like a realist.
So what that's going to do then is that realtor is going to get weekly updates. So that realtor is going to tell everybody in their office, it's so awesome. Kay Hovnanian, MI, they utilize a ton of home builders, send me weekly photos of what's going on, and I look like I know what I'm doing as the agent. Now, what's great about this, because I bought a home that utilized this, in the same city I lived in, you would think, oh, I'd go out and see that home all the time. We're all busy. I didn't go out and see that home every single week. So when I got that email from MI Homes, from 149 Photos, that showed me the progression of my house, I loved it. And then I got a scan disc at the end of it with all of the photos. It was absolutely fantastic.
Yep.
Now,
So you're doing this in parallel with the text messaging as well? So
You
they're
would do
getting
it-
a
you would do it all.
visual push, and this is email delivered, or
so
how
it's
is
email delivered. So what's cool about it is it does have a share button, so you can actually send it out to all your social media platforms. Because what people do when they're building a house is they want the entire world to know that they're building a house, right? They are so excited about that home. They want
Okay.
their friends to see the cool things that they're doing, so on and so forth. So what this helps do for the home builders, it helps limit cancellations. Because what people generally don't like to do is share something to the world that they're doing and then take it back. That's the whole
Right.
reason when I decided to do the Ironman, I told everybody in the world I was doing it. That way I couldn't back out of it.
Wow.
Because if I just kept my mouth shut, I wouldn't have shown up.
Okay.
So by telling people that you're doing something, you're going to do it. So if consumers send this out to their friends and they're posting it on social media and Facebook and Instagram, they're more than likely going to close on your home. And this company does business with a lot of different organizations, Taylor Morrison, MI, you name it. But it is a phenomenal platform for you to utilize with your company on many different levels. The other thing that we utilized at the former place that I was at is that we use it as a back office tool for construction, because we would get those reports that would come in from the construction team saying that the house was XYZ stage, but then we would actually go back and look at it and the home was nowhere near XYZ stage, because it was a digital proof to us where exactly that house was.
Cool.
We knew where it was. So, and then the last thing I'm going to talk about, I'm only going to touch it once.
God bless. There we go.
Okay, this one here, and this is just common sense, super easy, nothing fancy about this, but we taught our salespeople how to utilize and read BuildPro. Now, I know that may seem absolutely crazy, but our construction teams today are carrying 30 and 40 homes when traditionally they should carry 15. And so the last thing they have to do is they have to worry about a consumer and updating those consumers on what's going on in their house. Now, the average salesperson pre-COVID would have no clue how to open up BuildPro or open up any type of report that's pulled out of BuildPro to tell you exactly what's happening. So this is an actual house that happens to be in a community that I live in, and it's going to show you exactly how far behind that home is to what it should be on its original schedule. Now, this house, I believe, is 66 days behind. What we've done is traditionally our closing from contract to close is 6 months. We've recognized over the last year, now here's what's fascinating, our fiscal year ended in October, we projected 700 closings at the beginning of the year. We hit exactly 700 closings. Now, that's pretty impressive considering supply chain issues, and we had to maneuver things around. But what you're going to notice inside of BuildPro is you're jumping from place to place to place, right? Your builder is getting things done out of order than they typically would. But by educating our sales team exactly how to read the reports that come out of it, we could help them to educate the consumer a lot better. So our average time in DFW increased 64 days. So what we did from that is we simply put it into our slotting schedule, and we don't miss a closing. To not miss a closing in today's day and age, now when I say not miss a closing, we're within 2 weeks, but we give people enough time for that. It's pretty amazing, and we're giving them this date at time of contract.
And what is the innovative technology your salespeople are using on those Build Pro reports?
The phone?
Yes.
They're using the phone, which is amazing. I mean, right? I mean, you're literally just taking hard data and you're calling a buyer. It doesn't have to be all about the latest technology. It could be as simple as picking up the phone and making a phone call. It goes back to proactive communication, which is against reactive communication. You look at the bad surveys, and the number one complaint is going to be, well, I never heard from the salesperson, never heard from the construction manager.
But you're also multi-channeling it, and so there's people who appreciate different things.
100%.
Right?
We are
So
communicating.
you're covering all your bases on
We're
that.
communicating in the way what people want to be communicated with, and most of the time that is via text message.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Very comprehensive, and you guys did a great job on delivering too, with like 3x.
Yeah,
the amount of homes
since we're public in our fiscal year and in October, I can't tell you exactly yet, but we had the best year in division history. And I can tell you about the past. 2 years ago, we had closed 398 homes with a customer satisfaction score in the 70s and lost almost $4 million. I can tell you that we crushed our numbers because we had a different attitude and a mindset behind how we approached the data and stopped looking at our customers as widgets and started looking at them as people and making sure that they were up to date at every given moment. So when we did get those 14 ones, they did sting, but they weren't a surprise to us.
Right, very good. Thank you so much. Thanks for sharing. Christy,
Yes.
tell us about what you're doing at Woodcastle.
I'm afraid of this clicker.
Okay,
Though.
no, it's okay.
Yay.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so actually I started this program back when I worked for a different builder. I worked for MacArthur Homes. So it was a production builder company in Utah. And I was in charge of all of their sales and marketing efforts and had just taken over the online marketing about 10 years ago. Now I do something totally different. I actually am a general contractor and own my own custom home building company. So I use the same technology just in kind of a different way, because before we had lots of communities and sales teams, and at Woodcastle Homes it's mostly just me. So it's been fun to kind of do what Chris talked about and kind of get back to working with customers directly and being on site all the time. It's been awesome. But this technology has worked for me in both scenarios. So back about 10 years ago, when I took over the online marketing, I was trying to kind of figure out this whole social media thing and get it working for us efficiently. And my goal was really to try and build our audience and to try and get our buyers involved. Because I was, posting things and here's my design tips and all those things we were first trying to do back in the day and getting very little interaction. But I found if I could get the buyers involved, if I could get them to share something or comment on something, obviously it did really well. And so I was thinking, well, what do the buyers want to share? What do they want to post about? Looked through all of our, backlog of posts, and anytime that I talked about a buyer's home specifically, they always shared it and it always had a ton of engagement. So and that's not really a surprise. Buyers love to talk about their own homes, right? And so I came up with this program, we called it the My Home Story program, where I was trying to get buyers engaged in posting about their homes. And since it was early on and it's sort of the technology was new, I was doing it just a totally dark ages way, and this is what I did. So we had our website, and every time we got a new home buyer, I would create a web page, like a blog page essentially, for that buyer specifically. So it would be the Smith home or the Allen home. And then every week, all my sales agents would run out really quickly to all their job sites, and they would take a few photos, they would send them to me, and then I would download them to my computer, I would resize them, I would upload them for each buyer, and basically we created a blog for each buyer about their process. And then I would email them and I would say, your home story's been updated, here's the link, please share it with your friends and family, they'd love to see the progress of your home. And it was working awesome, except for one thing, and that was that it took like all of my time. We had 200 homes, not 800, but 200 homes. I mean, that's a lot of work. It was mostly what I did. The homeowners loved it, though. They were always posting. They were super excited. It took care of that issue of communicating with them during construction. They were getting those personal updates, and they were driving traffic to our website. We were seeing an increase in sales, referral sales, but again, it was just taking just way too much time. So this will click through, yes. We created an app that dealt with all of that. So essentially, the app did all the stuff that I did, completely cut me out of the process, which was awesome. The app was used by our sales team, and they would open it up and they would input a buyer's information, just basic name, email, phone number, lot number, and it would create a page on our own website, MacArthurHomes.com, for that buyer. And then each week when they went by, they would just quickly take their phones, they would snap a few photos, they'd say, your cabinets have been installed, they look beautiful, we're so excited for how your home's coming along. And then they would hit post, and it would send that post to the buyer via text or email, and so they could receive it however they liked to be communicated with. And this is sort of what it would look like. Okay, so the blog, or the page would look sort of like a blog. So it would say the Smith home at the top, and then as you scroll through, it would have each date, the information from the sales agent, and then their recent photos. So the homeowner anytime could scroll through and see essentially the story of their home, which created a really awesome personal experience for them. They felt super catered to, really taken care of, and excited about the process of their home. This helped tremendously with our customer service scores because they really felt like they were being taken care of and that they were important to us. They had their very own page about their home. And then they would receive this is an example of the email. There's also a text version that would have that information for them. It would have their most recent photo, and it would have the link to go to their page, but also the link to share their page. And that was really the key and to make this program successful, and something that I think we as builders don't do very well.
Hey, Christy, what kind of conversion rate do you have on this offer? I mean, is it 50% of the buyers that are getting started on it, or is it 100% or 15?
Yeah,
what's
so we do the
rate?
program with all of the buyers.
Yeah.
I would say about 80, depending on the builder, this is used by builders across the country now, but typically about 80% of builders share their story, and at least one time during the
buyers.
process. Yeah.
80% of the buyers are sharing.
Yeah, share their story.
Like how many posts are they sharing?
Usually they'll share just 2 to 3 during the process, like the most exciting moments.
Yeah.
And then once their friends and family click over to it, they can scroll through and see the whole thing.
Do you have any anecdotal or even survey data on when somebody engages in this program? Do they have a more positive perspective of the whole building process? Because if they're looking for good things to post, perception becomes reality, right?
That's exactly true. They're looking for the good things.
Yeah.
I mean, anecdotally with MacArthur Homes, I know we went up about from 97 to 99. We were already very high on our customer satisfaction ratings.
Yeah.
But the other thing we saw a ton of was referrals. So we actually went up 400% in our percentage of sales that came from referrals.
Yep.
So it was really exciting because buyers were telling their friends and family about the process, and most importantly, they were sending them to our website. So they weren't just sending them to a third-party site that had photos, they were sending them directly to the MacArthur Homes site. So someone's friend sees, oh, my friend's building, let me click over and look at it. Here's their beautiful home under construction, that looks amazing, I totally want one. Oh, here's their list of communities, or here's their floor plans. Let me click through and see what's available. And then the website's tracking them and saying, how can I help you? What are you interested in? And the sales process goes through from there.
400% is a good thing.
It's a very good thing, yeah. For me personally now in my own company, actually all of my sales come through referrals through this. So I'm much smaller though, and I do no other advertising. So it's kind of a strange case scenario. It wouldn't work for a larger builder. I don't need that many new clients each year. But for MacArthur Homes, it was a huge increase. And for most builders, it ends up being about 10 to 15% of their website traffic comes from the referral leads through the social media posts.
Right.
For me, it's 90%, but again, I don't actually do any marketing besides
Gotcha.
that. So a little bit different scenario. But I think this is a point that whether you're doing it through posting photos of your homes or whatever you might be doing, something that builders are not doing well, that pretty much every other industry does better, than us is asking buyers to share about their experience. This one screenshot I took after I ordered pizza from Papa John's, and I was really surprised, and I did not obviously share about my pizza experience on Facebook, but the fact that Papa John's, every time I purchase, is asking me to share about it, every time I buy something on Amazon or from Nordstrom's, they're telling me, share with your friends, right? But when we build a home, how often are we making it easy for our buyers to share with their friends? How often are we making it easy for them to share a link to our website and driving that traffic to our website like every other industry is doing? I think it's a big opportunity for home builders to improve. And I mean, honestly, other industries have been doing it for more than 10 years and we're still kind of behind, so.
We're going to have an inferiority complex behind pizza makers that is
Right?
really being pushed hard, and it's very hurtful, I think, to everyone.
Well,
I'm hurt. They do way better than I do.
I'm saying we're all part of the problem.
Okay.
Really, if you're going to post about your pizza, why wouldn't you be posting about your big, beautiful, exciting, emotional purchase of getting your own home? So we got to find other ways, not just this, better ways to make it easy for our buyers to share that experience. That's my soapbox. We've got to do it. Let's work together.
I think you have one more slide.
I do have one more slide.
Oops, you might have two.
This is just a picture really quick. This is an example of a post, what it looks like when a buyer posts about their home. So it shows their most recent photo. It has that link to go to their page, which is then hosted on the builder's website. Again, just driving that traffic back to your website and getting those referral sales. That's my last slide. This is my contact information if anybody has questions or wants to get a hold of me or has other great ways to get buyers posting about their homes. I'd love to hear about it.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Melissa.
So I love hearing all these experiences about what builders are doing to ensure that their buyers have a great experience, right? Because it just doesn't happen magically. And I would say the number one challenge is trust. And we see it in our surveys and reviews that we do. If there's no trust, everything you get scored on goes way down. And communication and staying involved. So this is super exciting. So what I'm going to talk about is kind of at the end of the process, how do you capture those great reviews? And it's a little bit different than CSAT. CSAT is a little bit more, I would say, invasive, and it's more about you learning. Reviews are just completely for the next buyer. And there is some great kernels in there, but we're going to talk about what those do.
CSAT is customer satisfaction survey.
Yes, thank you, John, for that. He's like my little thesaurus over here or something. So we're going to talk about best practices to review, enlightenment, and empowerment. So I'm going to just kind of step through these things super quick, and you can apply these concepts to however you collect reviews or however you manage that process. So the first thing that's really, really important to know is that in this day and age, user-generated content is the most powerful content. There is no better content. You can take all your own photos, you can do Matterports, you can do VR tours, you can do all this amazing stuff. The absolute most powerful content today is user-generated content because users trust other users and former buyers far more than their mother, their brother, their sister, their best friend. They're listening to those other users. So it is super powerful. And when you look at user-generated content, there's all kinds of types, but the most powerful are reviews. And that is the most important, most impactful. And just think about your own life. If you go on Amazon to buy a toaster, you go and look at the reviews, right? If you're gonna go buy a pizza, you go and look at the reviews, because cheese and sauce is kind of hard. Gotta get it right.
What's everyone's minimum score for a restaurant? What's your minimum?
A 4.
4? On Yelp or Google Maps?
Google.
Okay.
I would say 4.5, probably. A little snobby.
4.5.
Yeah.
4.5.
But if I'm really hungry.
I'm 4.3, I thought.
Yeah, if I'm really hungry, a 3 is just fine, and if it's like 2 miles from where I'm at, so I'm good. But it is super, super important. So if you hear nothing else today, understand that reviews are happening. And by the way, whether you think you're participating in reviews or not, you're participating in reviews. There are reviews out there, and they probably are on Yelp right next to the taco reviews. So super, super important. And I love this piece that Google put together, and it's called the 0 moment of truth. And what you see at the top is the good old days. It used to be that we would put out marketing, and then customers would respond to our marketing, they'd come in, we'd completely control the experience, and then they were happy or sad, but that went into like the ether. Nobody ever knew whether they were really happy or sad. But the world has changed and it's gotten more complicated. And now we have this zero moment of truth where we do marketing of some sort, or if you're like Christy, you just do referrals. But anyway, we do marketing of some sort. The next thing that happens isn't that they come and see us and engage with us. We wish that they would, because then we could maybe control it, and we can't control it. They go out and read about you. They read about the reviews. They go to Yelp. They go to Better Business Bureau. They actually Google search your builder name reviews, and whatever pops up, which for most of you is about a 1.2. It's really, really bad. Not because you're bad builders, not because you don't build great homes, but because of how reviews work in the world. So we're going to talk about that. But no longer is it just that you can have a great product and you can have great images and all this great stuff. You actually have to have really good reviews from previous buyers. So the world has gotten more complicated. And you just can't ignore it anymore, because it is something that everybody goes and checks out. And you may not know that it's hurting you, because they are going to check it out really early in the process. And if they see really bad reviews about you and that's all they see, you just aren't even on the short list. So you don't even know that this is probably impacting you. So this is a super horrible eye chart, and I apologize. But a few years ago, the builders got together and said, we can't ignore reviews anymore. This is really, really important. It's really hurting us. And it was hurting them from several different reasons. It was hurting them because the scores out there were really bad, and we all know why the scores are bad. It's because not every buyer surveyed. It's the few home buyers that were really unhappy, so like your 2%, they're gonna go rate you. They're gonna fill out 5 reviews. They'll go to Google reviews, they'll go to Yelp, they'll go to Better Business Bureau. There's something called pissbuilder.com, which is really lovely for the industry. So they will find a place to do it. The other people filling out reviews about you are not even people that are real home buyers. So these are people that, competitors, and you can see it, like you'll see in the review, somebody puts in, oh, this is a horrible builder, but you should come see this other builder, and there's like a marketing description, right? So it could be your competitors. It could be people who came and saw your homes and never bought, but really didn't like them. Well, they're not really entitled to a review. It could be a disgruntled former employee, right? So all this crap and all this noise is out there, and what we don't see are the real buyers and the really happy buyers that we have. So this little eye chart is we actually picked 10 builders, so just pretend like each column is a builder, and I didn't show you who they were, and it's 10 of the top 20 builders, and we went through and we said, of the 10 search results, what showed up? So builder number 1, the first thing that showed up were YouTube videos, which had nothing to do with reviews, not necessarily bad, but not helpful. The next one was 1.4 Consumer Affairs. The next one was 1.4 Consumer Affairs. The next one was a Zillow review. That was really bad. The next 2 were irrelevant, but it was Glassdoor, so could be hurtful. 1.5 Yelp, Reddit review, which is bad, City Data, which is bad, and Piss Consumer, which is bad. And then you can just go across, and you can see, and we color-coded green were things that would help, right? That were actually good reviews or kind of at least articles or testimonials that wouldn't hurt your brand. So really bad. And no matter what builder we went and looked at, it was all like that. And it wasn't because these are bad builders.
You Googled builder name and reviews.
Right. For example, Kay Hovnanian reviews, or Pulte reviews, or
Yes.
Lennar reviews, right? And that's kind of what you would get. And I'll tell you in a minute how to go check out your own self. So really bad for consumers. The other thing that was starting to happen a few years ago, and I know because a lot of you called me, you were starting to get these pay-to-play sites. So Consumer Affairs said, oh, you have a 1.2. If you pay us, that score can go up. And by the way, the builders who paid, they actually would be advertised on the builders who weren't paying. So it was just, there were several of those out there, and it was starting to get a little bit expensive and a little bit scary, and it just was unfettered, right, unmanaged. And you really still even didn't know were those real buyers or not. So I blacked out this builder's name. So just for giggles, if you haven't done this, you need to search your brand name and reviews, and you have to do it incognito. So if you don't know how to do incognito, let me know, but that basically is where Google doesn't know who you are, doesn't look at your past search history, and you will see what consumers actually see. And this is a really good builder, and they're now in a review program, and their score is way above a 4. So I know they're a really good builder. I've worked with them for 20 years. But when you look at this, number 1 is a 1.5, number 2 is a 2, number 3 is like a 1. The comments are really horrible. There was this horrible whole gallery picture of this kid who had gotten sick. Maybe it was a true story, maybe not. And talking to the CEO, he said, no, it's not actually a true story. So that's the stuff that's out there. And this is a really good, reputable builder. So if you haven't checked yourself out, be really brave, maybe get some tequila or something, do some shots, but you really have to know what is out there. The other thing you gotta remember is millennials and now Gen Zs are buyers too, which is really great. We're starting to see those in our numbers. They really, really, really rely on reviews. That is so important to them. They really do trust that more than any other source. The other thing is obviously we're all dealing with a lot more remote buyers. We don't know when the heck this pandemic's gonna go away. A lot more people are buying remote. 63% of people bought a home last year without ever seeing it. So what's online is really, really critical. So the cool thing is the industry did come together and they banded together. They got really brave and they put together an industry review program. And guess what? What happens when you do that and you actually survey every buyer, and every builder has to put every buyer in. Nobody can game the system. We actually audit for that. When you do that, the scores are absolutely amazing. So I don't have a builder that's under like a 3.8, 3.9 or so in that range. They're all up there in the 4s and they're doing really well. And guess what? From a consumer perspective, you actually don't want a 5. If a customer sees that you have reviews of a 5, they just assume it's gamed. They just assume that's impossible. And they're not looking for people that have 5s. And they're not even necessarily looking that you have to be, above a 4. What they're looking for, how do you respond? And actually, according to Bazaar Voice, and I'm still kind of not sure I believe them, but they said actually having reviews kind of in that neutral range or down there in that 2-ish range is better than no reviews. Because if there's no reviews, they're really suspicious. And again, what they're trying to see is how do you respond? Do you respond at all? Do you have any empathy? And I'm gonna talk about how you respond when you're responding while you care about that buyer, that you suddenly got a 1 and it's like, how the heck did that happen? And that will never happen to you again, I'm confident. You'll be on it. What you really are responding to is to demonstrate to the next buyer. It's how you respond, and they want to see, they know home buying is complicated. They know that it's a really big, huge, hairy, complex process. So they know there's going to be issues, but did you respond? Did you respond along the way? Did you communicate along the way? That's what future buyers are looking for. And the really cool part is, one, it's great for your buyers, but it's great for the Google too. So when you look at kind of SEO juice, because remember I showed you all that nasty stuff that was all red, color-coded across those 10 builders? We can never make that go away. The internet remembers forever. It has the memory of an elephant. What we can do is push it down, right? So the builders have come together, they've got this amazing program, and because of the power of how many reviews, because we're surveying every one of their buyers, and we're serving so many builders at this point, collectively, when someone comes in and searches KB home reviews, KB home quality, KB home complaints, all that crap is way down there. And yes, they can go see it, but who's gonna look at 3 reviews on Yelp if you have 1,000 on TrustBuilder? So it's just become this incredibly powerful tool, not only for the buyers, but for SEO as well. So this is just an example of Pulte. And again, if you do that and you type in those search terms, all that other stuff is pushed out. And even our friends at KHOV, and they have an amazing, amazing score, and it's because of the things that they do, right? They really care about their customers, and it shows in their scores. And in exchange for that, then when future buyers come in to search, they're gonna see amazing reviews about KHOVnanian. So I do sometimes get people going, but I use Google reviews. You can. The challenge with Google reviews is, again, you don't know who those people are. Could be a disgruntled employee, could be someone who never bought. could be a competitor, and you can't actually manage those. And if you find something that actually really is nefarious and is really malicious, it is almost impossible to get them to take it down. It's impossible to get Google to do anything. I don't know about you, but so you can do that, but you're diluting the juice that you have in the bigger program, and it doesn't have all of that kind of input and control that you might like. And then we're going to talk about responding and managing, because this is the most important part. One, hopefully you're doing a good job communicating and you're doing a good job managing the process, you're delivering a good quality home, you're responding, all this good stuff. What's really important is when somebody fills out that review, and they're not all going to be perfect, and it may not even be a horrible review. It may be like a 4 with a comment that's not so great, or it could be a 3, it's not so great, it could be a 2 or a 1, not great. You are responding for that future buyer. So speed is really important. Don't sit there and languish. Don't have 20 meetings inside your company trying to decide how to respond because you just missed the moment. Know your audience. You're responding for the future buyer. No one-word answers. Like, got it. Okay, well, that's 2 words. Okay, noted. Yeah,
Noted.
whatever.
Noted is passive-aggressive.
It is a little passive-aggressive, yes, thank you. No external links, right? So don't like go, oh, I'm sorry you had that bad experience, but look how amazing our homes are, and send them off to your website. Like, that's just really bizarre. And don't sound marketing-ish, right? That doesn't sound genuine. You have to be personal, you have to be genuine. And you may even be rereading the review, and you know this customer, and you know they were like really not fair and above the line, and because there's like customers like that. It doesn't do you any good to respond in a defensive way, right? Because again, the future buyer, they have no context.
So you don't want copywriters and PR people responding to this stuff?
You want customer care people. Yeah. You want people who actually, one, you got to show empathy, right? So you've got to immediately go, I am so sorry you had that experience. And that's not a lie. Because even if they were like a real pistol through the whole process and you didn't feel like they were fair, you really are sorry that they filled out that review and they're not happy. You really are. You can be very truthful. I'm very sorry you had that experience. We would love to connect with you. We'll reach out to you. You know, here's how we do things, blah, blah, blah. But you don't get into a back and forth. The customer's always right in the eyes of reviews. It just doesn't do you any good. Own the issue, take responsibility, take a deep breath, take the buyer dialogue offline, which in TrustBuilder it goes offline anyway. And just keep in mind, if there's a review and it's a total rant, people do kind of know how to read through that, right? You still have to be above the line. You still cannot engage and get, all feisty. And the worst thing you can do, and we actually had a big builder do this when they first started responding, thank you for your review of xxx.com. If you'd like to talk, call us at X number, blah, 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 or email us. And I'm like, this is a buyer, you know this person. Like, stop. That was horrible. It was really horrible. They did respond, but, they had to kind of learn, let's get personal. So how you respond and how you manage them, again, it's for that future buyer. And then when you get great reviews, shout it from the rooftops. Put it on your website. Put it as part of your content that you distribute everywhere that you can. Testimonials are great on your website, but we all know what testimonials are. They are the scripted experiences, our best customers, and we do it too. It's like we don't put unhappy customers on our testimonials, and people know that, and it's fine to have them. Reviews are real. Reviews are real buyers with their real experiences, so you want to share it everywhere, regardless of who you are, wherever you can put it. A lot of builders use it in the sales process, right? As they're engaging with buyers, they'll even have kind of like a sticker, they'll have the TrustBuilder score, they'll have, this is a third-party endorsed site, they'll talk about that. So they use it as part of their sales dialogue and their sales process. So once you've got those great reviews, which I haven't had a builder yet that has really, really bad reviews. And if we did, I would probably say, you don't have a review problem, you have a bigger problem. Go fix your problem, and then come back and participate. But really, we all build really great homes. We wouldn't be in business if we didn't build amazing homes and great experiences. So once you've got those reviews, you can really leverage them and use them. And then the last thing, and this is this is what my friend Chris said, is there's real learnings in there, right? Sometimes there's reviews that sting. You know, it's like when you get the one, you're like, whew, and you're absolutely right. You shouldn't be surprised, but sometimes you are. I read through the reviews of our builders, and I can pinpoint something's not going well in this one community. There's something not quite right, and you'll start to see, you know, some themes. So there's some real learnings in there that you can start to pick out that will help you just improve as a business and, you know, help people as they grow and develop. As we go into 2022, we're going to actually be launching artificial intelligence. So we'll go in and review the reviews for you, so you don't even have to review them, and we'll send you a report that says, Chris, I think in this community we got a problem, you know, blah blah blah, and you can deal with that because it is a lot to read through, but it's really important. These are your customers telling you how you're doing, and they will determine your future fate. So anyway, path to review enlightenment, just realize user-generated content, game over. It's the most important thing that is out there, and it can really be leveraged to help you, so don't be afraid of it. Know you're in the review game today, whether it's unintentional, you're pretending like it's not happening, or you get an intentional plan, you are participating in reviews today, and they are impacting your business. Have confidence. Buyers love our homes. They love our new homes. You would not be in business if you didn't build amazing homes. And then just implement a strategy. So get serious about it, put focus on it, embrace it, and leverage it. And that's all I got.
Great. Well,
Yeah.
you know what, guys? We actually have time for some questions for
Oh
the
my
first time.
That's amazing.
Let's see. Questions, comments, takeaways, to-dos. Who has a question? Come on. Who's
Mr.
going to break the ice?
Mr.
Jeanette.
Lenar over there.
Here we go. Mike's coming to you. Hold on. Wait for the mic. Thanks.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. For Melissa, Trust Builder, I know that we are using that ourselves. Quick question, do we do that on the division level as well? Like, can we, when somebody searches Lennar, which we're going to do now, right? Lennar, just the division area that we're at, does Trust Builder, is it able to segment just the reviews for that particular division or that particular area?
Yep, it does. There's an overall score, and then, you know, as you're searching by market, we don't break it down by community. And part of that is because you don't have as many homes per community, and reviews can get really wonky if you don't have enough of them. So we actually roll it up at that market level, but you can scale down. And I was looking at your data the other day. Some of your markets are amazing. There's a couple markets you might need, you know, some help. But again, amazing enough reviews that the consumer is fine.
Got it. And then really quick for Google, it's now Google Business Profile. I know that you said that that we shouldn't, or that we don't use that, or it can't be used as often. Isn't there a way to, or are you guys working on a way to implement some sort of integration between GBP and Trust Builder itself, or no?
You are like light years ahead of me. Yeah, no, we are. We actually are trying to allow Trust Builder to power Google reviews. Again, they don't move very quickly, it is the Google, but yeah, our intent is actually to be able to do that so that you guys don't have to worry about another site.
Very cool.
And we're working on sending it to other sites as well, that you guys send your listings to.
Like syndications? Like, oh, right on. Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, we have 26 seconds. 22, 21, 20.
Did everybody like search your name and your reviews? Like, did you do it? Were you scared? I can do it with you. I'll hold your hand.
Don't make us go overtime. Question.
So a question I have is, oftentimes our sales folks are not involved in after the production starts on our homes. We're an on-your-lot builder. One of the things that comes up often is the communication, and when we're surveying our customers, we hear a lot about we're not being communicated to. Is there any guidelines, anybody out there that has guidelines on what you think is the best communication? Because I think we tell our production guys that they need to communicate, but I'm not sure we're telling them what they need to communicate.
I don't know if there's a study, but I think there's a best practice right here. This guy with his multi-channel, human beings involved, text, email, visual, audio on the phone. I mean, that's what you want to do is cover the bases, not to the point where you're annoying. I don't think you're annoying.
Yeah,
You don't seem annoying.
But I think what I think you may be speaking to, and it is a challenge in the kind of digital world, as more of our employees are empowered to communicate to our customers, it can be challenging because not everybody is a communication expert. So templates, kind of guidelines, that can really help as we do that.
All right, we got to get out. Let's have a big hand of applause for our panelists here.